the way, this is my second energy drink in a row, so be prepared.
Jeez. You know what I did? I managed to get myself off caffeine.
Really?
For real.
So you're not just the mushrooms?
Just the mushrooms.
That's crazy.
I am totally powered by mushrooms now.
I'm pretty impressed though because that sounds so I don't drink a lot of caffeine. This is I think it's gonna hit me hard like later. I think I'm gonna have a crash. But
Yeah.
I'm curious because yesterday all I had was half a coffee. This morning that's all I had was half a coffee.
Yeah.
And normally I'm not a huge coffee drinker or caffeine drinker, but I don't know. We're about to find out.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I know it was like 2 weeks ago now that I got off of it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I just immediately switched to the mushrooms. And now I'm surprised that like I can start my day and I don't feel that sense of like, oh, I need something to get me going kind of thing.
Do you think it's all in your head too? Like, or do you think?
No, I think
I'm not saying that to be rude by any means.
No, there was something about, because I've tried to get off it before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it was so
Headaches.
difficult. It wasn't the headache so much. It was more like the haziness and just the tiredness and just like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get anything done unless I get that, that
boost.
That boost,
Yeah.
right? So then of course it's just like, yeah, I can't afford to like be in this state. I need to get things done. So then what do? You go to your energy drink, you go to coffee, and you drink all that, right?
Yeah.
So, but somehow like taking this, it creates some kind of stabilization like in my system. Like I was struggling before if I tried to cut it down.
Yeah.
But I just started on this, switched over, and I've been smooth sailing since.
Good.
So it's good.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Mushrooms.
It's eerily calming. Like now I don't feel like I don't feel that up and down and like
the crashing and the uncrash.
Yeah, it's just like I know I'm gonna start dozing off now because I'm gonna get so tired. So I gotta get more. That's just.
I'm curious to see how this will affect. Like I'll see if I crash later. That's kind of what I want to see.
Yeah.
What the crash is like. So what do you mean you drink mushrooms? Like I don't get it.
Drink mushrooms. So yeah, some people think that like, as soon as I say that, they start to think like, oh, you're tripping on mushrooms, right?
Or
and
like microdosing or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so actually there's a brand out there that takes all kinds of different mushrooms that have different kinds of medicinal properties, and the brand is called Om, like OM.
Okay.
Like Om. So they got all kinds, and they're all just powdered form to be able to put into whatever drink mix you have, right?
Okay.
So by itself, it's very earthy, we'll say. Like you want to mix it in with something else. But there's different kinds of mushrooms, like reishi mushrooms, which are really good for being able to like it's very good for your mood sort of thing. And then there's like changa, which is very good for your blood pressure and your system. There's turkey tail, which is awesome for your immune system. It's been known actually for people who have cancer to see it like completely go into remission.
Wow.
You got lion's mane.
Yeah.
These are really cool names, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say I love the names.
Lion's mane, which has actually got a property to it that has shown to actually create neurogenesis. So imagine what that could do for somebody who has like memory problems or Alzheimer's or something like that. To me, like I like the idea of taking lion's mane only because I believe that by maintaining a strong nervous system, you maintain good health.
Yeah.
Right. So. And then another one they had was called Energy, and it's got this kind of mix of different kinds of mushrooms in it. Not sure of all the names of them, but I found that to be like, and and with all that, I completely replaced needing to
drink caffeine.
To drink any kind of caffeine drinks. And I was taking energy drinks all the time and all kinds of variations of it. Yeah. Sometimes some of them had 100 milligrams, other times they had 230. By the end of the day, I was up to like probably close to like 500 milligrams of caffeine a day.
Holy crap.
And but the thing is, when you're taking in the drinks, you don't think about that.
How much does a coffee have?
Coffee typically has like, 50? I think it has something like 80 milligrams of caffeine or something like that. Okay. Is in a typical coffee.
So you're drinking like
but that's
6 coffees a day.
That's like in a cup of coffee. We don't just take cups of coffees anymore. We take like jugs.
Well, what? Like a large coffee from anywhere is, I think that's like I think it's 2.5 cups, 3 cups.
Yeah, so you're taking a good 150 milligrams of caffeine in that probably.
That's crazy.
Right. So yeah, and then on top of that, there's all the other properties that go with it. And so like even with the drink mixes I was having, they actually had some other good things too. Like there was like, I like to have the amino acids and things like that because that's all just generally good building bricks for your body.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but the caffeine was like, it was that kick I needed, in the morning sort of thing. And now that I feel almost like by taking this new direction and just like having these mushrooms as part of my diet, it's almost stabilized my system to where like I don't feel that crash anymore. Like I'm able to actually, like, prior to this I was having to like take caffeine because like not only was like really so tired, I was just like, I'm just hazy, I can't think straight, and I need to get that hit sort of thing. And then by the end of and then as I got into later into the afternoon, I'm just practically yawning to the point where I'm going to fall asleep unless I get something else. So I take another drink, right? But now it's like almost like my energy level has gone up and it's stabilized. So like throughout the day, I'm still very wide awake. Like I used to be
on that roller coaster.
Yeah, it's not that roller coaster anymore. So it's amazing, like the difference. And I was really getting worried because I felt like I was just so hooked. I hate to sound like I'm some kind of druggie or something, but yeah, but I was just, I was really like, what other alternatives do I have? Like I can't find a way to get out of this cycle. And it was like, and I knew that it wasn't just like something I was using every once in a while. It was like daily, because like every day there's something that has to be done. And it's like, nope, can't afford to be down today. Gotta go. That's how everybody works. Like that's how everybody has to live today, right? So they're taking all kinds of things to be able to do that. And so now I feel like I've gotten off of that and I feel totally leveled off. So, and it's thanks to mushrooms. And it's interesting that like, and I feel like actually the longer I take this, the better I'm going to get. Like I feel like without all the mushrooms I'm taking, I bet my immune system is just getting supercharged now. So I haven't gotten sick at all. Like, and I've only been taking them for like maybe a couple of weeks to a month. So it has to be a month now because.
Yeah, I think it's probably been about a month.
It's been about a month now. Yeah. So it does say on the label, take continuously for, I think it says 3 months.
Okay.
For improved results is what it says. So
and if you want to keep those results, you keep going after 3 months. Okay.
Yeah. So I think, and the thing about mushrooms is that like there's something that's, I mean, like they're from the earth, right? So it's just like, it's something that's natural. There's a lot of research behind, well, not, I would say a lot of research. We're only beginning to understand this stuff. But the research is showing that like, these are the things that it can do. And there's just so much evidence of like the results for people, like people who have cancer taking turkey tail and just having gone into remission, that, okay, there has to be more to this than we're realizing, right? So.
Well, hopefully the future will show us.
Yeah.
What else will come from it?
Well, we need to be able to get it into like it's a different direction. Like how much money is to be made from people taking mushrooms versus getting on drugs, right? There's no patent on mushrooms.
No.
You can't, right? So then there's no research that goes into it. That's the problem. Right? So nobody wants to research mushrooms. They want to come up with some kind of chemical drug that will synthesize what the mushrooms will do.
That way they can patent that chemical.
They can patent it, they can own it, and they can be able to make billions of dollars from it. So, and that's why it never goes to the mushrooms. Meanwhile, the mushrooms could be providing the same health benefits, and if we just went in that direction, we could grow it and be able to have it available for everybody, not just people who'd be able to afford these drugs, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. Just gotta change the way we do things.
Yeah, I agree. One second, I'm thinking of a word. What's the word I said earlier? Wasn't humility, it was...
Humiliation?
Yeah, but then, remember I said something else? Humidity? Yeah, humidity.
Humility.
I know.
You said humidity.
I know.
Okay. Kellyism.
Kelly. Yep. All right. So we have 5 steps to develop. 5 steps.
5 easy steps.
To developing humility.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to read them off 1 to 5, and then we can talk about each one separately. Sound good with you?
Let's do it.
Cool. So 1 is build confidence.
Okay.
2, ask questions.
Very good.
3, get out of your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
4, remember your goals.
Uh-huh.
And 5, reflect on your behavior.
Very important.
Very important.
Yes.
So the first one was build confidence.
Yes.
How do you think that could develop humility?
So I think that once you become confident about something, you no longer feel like you need to get recognition for it. You don't need the validation, right? Yep. So So as long as we begin to realize, like, we're really good at something, and we begin to have that confidence,
Yeah.
then it becomes, okay, that's the building brick that
Yeah.
I have, and and I can tuck that away. Now I don't need to get the validation for it. So the more we gain confidence in the things that we are strong in,
Yeah.
the easier it is for us to be humble about it, right? So build the confidence in the things that you're good at. Don't feel like you need to get validation from others for it.
Yeah.
You can remain humble. So when you do that all-star move or whatever it might be, then you're not being braggadocious.
Do you think that would come naturally?
I think it can in some cases. I mean, for some people it can be natural, but at the same time, if you want to be able to increase that in your life and build that building brick,
Practice it.
then you want to practice building your confidence. Yeah.
Cool. Number 2, ask questions.
Asking questions. Questions. I love
The right questions. I think we need to
so yeah, I say it all the time. Questions are the answer.
Yeah.
I say that all the time.
Questions are the answer.
They are the answer. And you know where I learned that?
No.
Tony Robbins. Yeah,
Tony
long time ago. I remember reading his book, Unlimited Power.
Yep.
I was like, that was like one of my first books I ever read. That was
Okay.
like that. It was Tony Robbins, and it was called Unlimited Power. And one of the chapters was titled "Questions Are the Answer." And when I read that, I was just like, yeah, like it clicked in my head so quickly.
Yeah.
And then in the chapter, he goes on to talk about how like the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions you ask.
Yeah.
And that the wrong kind of questions can lead to the wrong answers, and the right kind of questions lead to the right kind of answers. So then he gives the example in the chapter. Man, I can't believe I still remember this, because this is like 25 years ago. So
That's really
I can't believe I remember this. But he actually goes on with an example that I recall that was basically along the lines of somebody who is overweight,
Yeah.
right? The wrong kind of question to ask is, why am I fat?
Oh, yes.
And then what do? Your mind starts to give an answer, because your mind will just answer whatever it's given. So why are you fat? Well, it's because you're this, you're that, you do this, you do that. And it'll justify all the reasons you're fat. Yeah. And then you just go, okay, that's why I'm fat, right?
Okay.
So you didn't go to any, it didn't result in anything, right? Except make you feel bad. But if you ask the question, but then if you change that and you ask the right question, which is, what can I do to be more healthy?
Yes.
Your mind's going to go, well, stop doing this, start doing that, do this, do that. It's like, okay, now I got something to do.
Yeah.
Right? And now there's something actionable that could change the result.
Yeah.
Right? So many people, I've seen it, like how so many people will ask these questions of themselves all the time, and they'll ask the wrong questions all the time. And the more they ask these wrong questions, the further down they go, right? Because they're just not asking themselves anything that's actionable. But the right questions lead to the right, like the quality of your questions will lead to the quality of your life.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can ask certain types of questions and be able to frame it in a way that leads to something that's actionable, that's going to change your situation, then those are the right kinds of questions to ask. And catch yourself when you're going to ask the wrong questions, because as soon as you start doing that, it's like, stop that, because your mind is like a computer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the term in computers is called garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
And the reason for that is because the computer, whatever you give to it, it's just going to give it right back to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So the same thing with your mind. It's happening all the time, and like consciously we filter some of that, but your mind is still taking in everything. So all the garbage coming in, whatever garbage is going to give out. So if you are saying, computer, why am I fat? This is why. It's going to tell you, right?
Yeah.
So then, computer, how can I be more healthy? This is how, right? So now you're gonna be sent in a different direction.
I think I need to practice that more.
Yeah, well.
Like personally, I really think I do.
Yeah. Well, that's another way to be. So in terms of like asking questions, again, like when you learn to
ask the right question.
Ask the right questions. Yeah. And don't be afraid to like.
What about the saying there's never a stupid question? Or what's that saying? There's no such thing as a stupid question?
No such thing as a stupid question.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
It's true.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, like, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Is really aiming towards the idea that you need to be comfortable with asking questions, right? Even if you feel uncertain about looking a certain way, right? So that's a matter of coming to the confidence again, right? So if you have the confidence and you're going to ask questions, then that's what's going to lead to being able to be more humble. And in the end, you're just going to have a better quality of life.
I think I might try to start like, if somebody asked me, like when they, well, that saying, what is it? There's never, what was, I just said it.
There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Right.
Yeah.
So say somebody was to ask me a question and I felt like it was a stupid question, but I agree with there's no such thing as a stupid question. What if I came back and answered their question with another question to make them ask a question again that was more
Productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay?
That's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because again, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So if you ask a question that's not going to give you the result you want,
Yeah.
then you need to change it so that you're actually going to get
Try
back
this
what you
with
want.
my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Number 3 was get out of your comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I talk about this all the time. I talk about being in your die zone.
Yes.
Right. So
I bring that up a lot nowadays.
you do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's
And
good.
every time that I get into that die zone, I think I'm in the die zone right now, but this is going to make me better. This is going to make me stronger. This is going to make me something. I'm going this way. I'm not going this way when I get into that.
Yeah, and so you can think of it like, this is your comfort zone,
Yep.
right? And everybody likes to stay nice in their little comfort zone,
Who
right?
doesn't?
And and it's super tiny.
comfy.
Yeah, it's super tiny.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get out of your comfort zone, you're just like outside your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, just on the outside, this is uncomfortable, right? And I don't like it. And then you go further out of that. It's like, okay, now this is really scary.
Yeah.
What I'm doing. And then you get into the die zone.
Yeah.
Right? Which is like, I'm so far out of my comfort zone now, I feel like I'm gonna die if I do this.
Yeah.
Right? And when you do that though, and you actually live there, what happens is your comfort zone goes like this. It expands to where now the ability to actually get into a die zone becomes much more difficult because
it would.
now everything is open to you because you have the confidence to do everything because you went to those places that you were scared of before.
This is making me scared just talking about it. Like, I have that scared feeling. Like even having the conversation, I feel like that's out of my comfort zone even just a little bit.
Yeah, and so when you do and when you continue to do that though, and you build that confidence and you're able to actually move out of your comfort zone, and then what happens is when that expands, you now gain a sense of confidence, and so when you do that thing again, you can be able to experience humility because guess what? Now that's become a strength, right? You were able to just have that as part of who you are. So for people who think about taking on a new career, or if they're thinking about wanting to be able to lose weight or something, or something like that, then it becomes something that they feel confident about, so they can pursue that and actually, again, gain humility in terms of like the results and whatnot.
You can learn something about yourself that you never even knew.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. When we were delivering the cookies,
Right.
what week was that?
A few weeks ago. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the building brick of it. Anyways, when we were delivering the cookies,
Generosity.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
When we were delivering those, that was out of my comfort zone.
It was.
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
Like I was so nervous. Like I often would stand behind you because I didn't want to like be the first person like up there. Like I don't know. I just
Really?
Yeah.
I was excited with it all.
I know you were.
Yeah. So I again, yeah. So for you, that was out of your comfort zone. It wasn't necessarily die.
No, it was not die at all.
So
because
like
I knew I could do it.
Yeah, but it was out of your comfort zone. So you expanded out a little bit. So that helped. And now that you've done it, do you feel like you'd still feel the same way if we did it again?
Probably a little bit, but not as much.
Not as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely not as much.
Yeah. So why did it scare you so much? Were you afraid of what they would say, or?
I don't know. I guess more.
We're literally giving them cookies. I mean, what could go wrong?
No. I don't know. Like I felt embarrassed.
Embarrassed?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Not embarrassed, but like I don't know how to explain it. But I remember being because we were talking about it. I'm like, Brandon, will you go into the stores like at first and ask them if because I was like that would have been in like my die zone. Cause I'm going into a store. I'm like, can I videotape you? Like that would just I would not. I don't know. And I'm like, Brandon, he's like, yeah, no problem. And he had no problem doing it whatsoever. And I'm thinking, thank God for Brandon right now because I did not want to be that person.
Right.
But I have no clue. We're literally giving them cookies, making them smile. I don't know why that. Maybe it's just, because, well, for one, I haven't done anything like that in probably 2 years because
since the
lockdowns.
lockdown and everything. Yeah. You're afraid of like how people are going to respond to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand where people now probably have some kind of reservations
Like,
about.
are they going to want these because we made them even?
Yeah.
Because, like, that was more my thought too. Like,
Yeah, I can understand that.
yeah.
Yeah. To me, I just didn't care because I'm
No.
giving them cookies. So if you don't like it, then you got a problem.
Yeah, definitely. Flex that muscle for the getting into your die zone. Yeah, cut that right there. That was lame when I just said. Okay. Was there anything else you want to say about the comfort zone thing?
Try to live in your die zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, the more you do it, the greater your comfort zone is going to expand, and your comfort zone now becomes where your die zone was before, and then when it comes to doing things, it just becomes easier and easier. You become the person that everybody thinks is just so brave, because you're doing things that they're afraid to do.
It's funny because my friends all think like I'm probably one of the bravest ones of the group.
Right.
But like I don't see that. Or
Well,
maybe
it's because you've done things
Yeah.
that for them are in their die zone, or
Yeah.
they're out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so because of that, you're perceived as like being brave. And having all this confidence and
Yeah.
whatnot. And it's true to an extent for in comparison to what they do and what they think.
Yes, I think I was actually just thinking that in my head too, how everyone's so different. Everyone's comfort zone's different. Everyone's die zone's different. Like it's different for every person.
Yeah, we all live in our own world, and we're in different worlds, and they're all colliding all the time.
Yeah.
And it's everybody's just in a different point of their evolution. So you just have to accept that in their world, like for your friends, the things you do are just beyond
Like
anything
some of them
that
are
they could
good
do.
public speakers. And do you think I could do that? Another example, my friend's wedding. I had to read a
Speech?
a speech.
Yeah.
I'm holding the paper and my hands are going like this, and I'm like, tears are coming down my face. One, because
Oh
I'm so
my gosh,
happy.
that's terrible.
And two, because I was so nervous, but I've made myself do it. I'm like, you are not doing this. That was my die zone.
Yeah.
That was public speaking is my die zone for sure.
That's fair. And for a lot of people, actually,
And
surveys show that public speaking is people are more terrified of that than actually dying.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable,
Probably
right? Yeah.
For me, yeah, for sure. Okay, number 4, remember your goals.
Yeah.
So remind yourself every morning why you're doing what you do and how you can achieve your goals. Try writing them down in a journal. Do you think that would help?
Yeah, well,
Lists are always the way to go for me.
lists. Yeah, you're a list lover.
I'm a list. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely something that helps, like actually taking the action. And I think a lot of the self-help courses will say write it down, you know, because when you write it down, you're actually making it real.
Yes.
Right. And some of them will even purport to, like, you know, you should use a pen and a pencil and do it with your hands. Don't just type it out and things like that. Right. I
think it's different for everybody when it comes.
It's
to
different for
stuff
everybody
like
when
that,
it comes to that stuff. But yeah, once you do that, then that becomes a lot more real, and it becomes more in your foreview.
Yeah.
Like foreview. Sorry, your front view.
Front view.
Foreview's back. Yeah, front view.
Okay.
Yeah. So it becomes
Picture.
front view.
Is that a word?
I think it's front view.
Is that 2 words?
I feel like there's another word I should be using for that.
The big picture in front of your face.
What? Okay. So it becomes something which is top of mind, we'll say.
Top of mind. Yes. That's a good one.
So that way, as you're going about your day, you're reminded of your goals and why you're doing what you're doing, right? So if you have particular goals, let's say weight loss, for example, then reminding yourself of like what your goal is on a daily basis will help you to be able to stay focused like throughout the day, without getting sidetracked and maybe getting into donuts or something like that. The guy who brings a dozen donuts today. So as an example of that, actually remind you of your goals. So if it's weight loss, you may like weigh yourself on the scale in the morning, just to remind you of, like, you know, what is your goal, right?
And they say not to do that every morning, though.
I know they say not to do that every morning, just because the what happens over the course,
fluctuation,
how much of the fluctuation,
yeah,
and like you can be like up and down all throughout the week, and
Water weight and
all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So like once a week for a real measurement is more accurate. But that's
maybe that reminds you. Maybe getting on the scale every morning reminds you this is what you're striving towards.
Exactly. Yeah. As long as it's like with that attitude.
Yeah.
Remember your goals and keep them top of mind when you throughout your day.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, I think I need to like practice all of these things. I'm gonna do like a little recap. We're gonna do a little recap at the end. Okay. Number 5, reflect on your behavior. I think reflection on your behavior that's a tough one. Because like, that can sometimes like hurt, probably sometimes, like not hurt, but like, if you are really good at reflecting on your behavior and you know your rights and wrongs and you know what you could have done better, could have done worse, or like that can like, I feel like hurt your humility, couldn't it? Like,
how do you feel that would hurt your humility?
If you're so hard on yourself and like, I guess it's all how you take it.
Well,
I don't know how I'm trying to explain what's in my head right now. I have a hard time doing that.
So the reason you want to reflect on your behavior is because what will happen is that'll allow you to be able to, it's almost like just hitting rewind and then being able to like just look at how your day went, sort of thing. And really at the end of the day is probably the best. I mean, like, you can take some time to actually reflect and think about how your day went and what kind of interactions you had, and did you achieve your goals? Were you asking the right questions? Did you do something that built your confidence? Like, these are the kinds of things that you can do to like reflect on what happened throughout the day.
So this is what I mean, but what if somebody like is really hard on themselves, and so they reflect on their day and they're not happy with themselves any little bit that they did in their day?
So they can use that to be able to motivate themselves to be able to be better the next day.
So it kind of comes back to the whole question thing, because you could be like, why was my day so shitty? Why am I such a shitty person? But those
are the wrong questions.
Those are the wrong questions.
Yeah. So if they ask the right questions, they would, reflecting on their behavior in the day, say, how could have I handled that better, right?
Yeah.
Or, the way I talked to such and such, maybe I could have, it looked like they didn't like what I said.
Yeah.
What could I have said in a different way that would have been better?
Yeah.
So questions like that lead to answers that are actually going to be something you can build on. So it's like, okay, next time I see them, you know what? I realized that the way that they were, the way that I said something didn't come across right. Let's go talk to them tomorrow and see if I can, and just be clear or something like that. So that's something that's something that you can do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it really comes with, like, I guess, a form of meditation.
Yeah.
So if you can take some time to actually do that, it's very useful in terms of being able to like really build yourself very quickly.
But if you do it in the right way too.
And you need to do it in the right way. You need to do it in the attitude of humility.
Yes.
Like, where you're just like, I'm doing this to improve on, where I was today, so that I can have a better tomorrow.
Right.
So then you go to it. And so it doesn't mean necessarily even just looking at all the bad things you did too. You got to look at all the good things you did and be like, yeah, I'm getting really strong at that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then just tuck that away as like, okay, I got the confidence to do that now.
Yeah.
And then you feel good.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's like, what am I going to tackle next?
Yeah.
Right. And then you can move on to building confidence in something else, maybe.
Goals.
And set more goals. Right.
Yeah.
And then start asking other questions about, how can I improve this? How can I improve that?
Yeah.
Right. What ways can I make it better for this other person? So it's all a matter of doing this on a consistent basis. And so if we can reflect on the day it's in, and a lot of what we call systems, religions, spiritual beliefs, meditation and prayer are a big part of all of them. All have you having you to pray or to meditate on yourself, or pray to your Lord, whoever that might be. And these are essential to the way we are as humans.
Yeah.
So if you don't do that, think of it like food.
Okay.
For your soul.
Okay.
If you don't eat, what happens to your body? It shrivels up and just loses energy and just doesn't work, right? But what happens with your soul if you don't meditate and pray? Same sort of thing. It's like you're not giving it food. So it shrivels up, it loses energy, and starts to succumb to sickness, just the way your body succumbs to sickness if you're not eating healthy.
Yeah.
Right? So same sort of thing. If we just follow that process, which we need for our souls,
Yeah.
then that way we can be able to build that building brick.
I feel like building humility is hard work.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Like these are a lot of steps that even myself sitting here thinking like, I need to do more of that. I need to do more of that. I need to do more of that. And then I'm thinking, when the frick am I going to find time to do all of this? And I'm like, slowly but surely it will, if I practice it, it'll just become a natural thing.
It becomes a matter of your choice to dedicate to it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
the dedication that you put toward it.
Yeah.
So for some people, they'll never make that dedication, and then they just kind of get stuck in day to day.
Yeah.
Right? And then other people will make that dedication, and they'll start following us. And then they will actually start to, and then they can start to build these things into their lives, build those building bricks, get those bunkers going, and then actually improve their lives.
Yeah.
Who are your role models?
I have no freaking clue.
So the most obvious one for me that I remember the most was Arnold Schwarzenegger. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
okay?
Why? Because his big beefy voice.
It was, so he started off as a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he
and
did.
he was Mr. Olympia.
You were a bodybuilder before.
Well, that's actually what inspired me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
so when I was a kid, I saw. It's so funny how I came across that too, because I had no exposure to that world whatsoever.
Right.
But then when I was in Scouts,
Yep.
and we were doing, we were like taking recyclable magazines to be able to, or like recyclable papers and magazines.
Yeah.
This is what we did like a long time ago.
What were we doing with them?
But we would do these drives so that we'd be able to collect money for the Scouts, sort
Okay,
of thing, right?
okay.
And we literally were like going around house to house and like picking it up from the curbs and like filling out this giant trailer, right? And what do I come across? A magazine of muscle and fitness, right? And it was the
crazy.
first time I ever seen anything like that. Like I never imagined like people could be like this muscular, you know? Like it was just the first time I was exposed to that. And I was just
don't like the look of that.
And I was amazed. Like I wasn't like it was just amazing to me, right?
Yeah.
Because here I was, this fat kid, right?
Okay.
I just had no physique whatsoever, and that was when I was very young too.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember. Like I was in Scouts. I was like 11 years old or something.
Yeah.
So,
And that's when you're.
so that's when I first got
Yeah.
exposed to it, and of course that led me to like looking more into that world, and then of course that's how I discovered Arnold Schwarzenegger, and of course he's in movies, right? So so from that I could just remember actually like getting these copies of like, you know how teenagers like plaster stuff all over the walls.
Cosmopolitan magazines. Yes.
Okay, for you.
Yeah.
Okay, me, it was like muscle and fitness, like bodybuilders from like in competitions, like on my walls. Like that was.
So I'm gonna say a funny story. It's a negative one. Nobody should ever listen to it. But sometimes the magazines aren't always the best, because as a young girl, I was fairly chubby as well. And when I was flipping through my magazine, there was this girl who lost all this weight because of meth.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, well, I want to do meth because I want to be skinny. And then I didn't even know what meth was at the time, okay? So, and then I'm like telling my friends, I'm like, yeah, this like girl did meth, like blah, blah, blah. And she got so skinny, and they're like, Kelly, no, like this is not what you want to do. And I was like, anyways, eventually found out that that's a super bad drug and all this stuff. But like, yeah, just make sure, I guess, you're taking it from a good, like your story is much better than mine. I never became a meth head or anything, so we're good there. But
that's good.
Yeah. You just reminded me of that. That is definitely not what were we talking. Role models. That's definitely
Role
not
models. Yeah.
That's not a role model.
Don't listen to women in magazines telling you to do meth. Yeah.
No.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Just to get skinny. That's
Yeah.
all it was for, too.
Yeah.
But kind of the same story, except for you took yours and you actually did something with it, because it was a good one.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like I got really interested
Yeah.
in bodybuilding, and
Yeah.
so I started to learn a lot about health and fitness.
Yep.
And that's actually what transformed me when I was a teenager. Like it just happened almost overnight, and I went from being this fat, awkward kid to suddenly I slimmed right down,
Yeah.
and then suddenly I just like it was such a weird it was such a weird feeling because like I went to high school and it was just as I was going to high school when I had this transformation.
Oh, that's perfect then.
And the next thing I know, these girls were noticing me for the first time, and it was crazy. And I was just like, what? And then the next year, I just started to bulk up as I was like continuing to lift weights.
Right.
Next thing you know, I went from skinny to being like muscular guy. And so I'd have guys now coming to me like, man, how can I get like bulk like you and stuff like that? And I was just like, so everyone's coming to me for all this advice and stuff. And I was just like, this is cool. So, and I started to gain confidence in that. And so I ended up losing it after I went traveling because I wasn't keeping up on all that.
Yeah,
but
you gotta keep up on that stuff for sure.
But yeah, in terms of role models, like Arnold Schwarzenegger was somebody who inspired me. But the funny thing is that I didn't know much about him aside from like what I saw in these magazines and him going on to Mr. Olympia. And then besides him, I just started to see others who, like I'd see stories of people who just like that's what the magazines are all about. They would tell their story about how they got to this state, and then they would like give tips on how to do things and so forth. And I just ended up learning it all.
So do you have a favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger quote?
Quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Jeez.
And I want to hear it in the tune of his voice too. The tune of his voice. Is that a thing?
All I can think of right now is I'll be back.
You know what I'm thinking of, which is nothing? I'm thinking, Luke, I am your father. And I'm like, that's not even, is that?
That is not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Where did you get that?
The way he says it, like, Luke, I am your father, or something.
Oh, it's not even close to his accent. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
That's such a bad example.
As me being an audio guy, it really offends me that you mixed up James Earl Jones and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, totally different.
Okay, well, hopefully they never see this because, actually, hopefully they do, but hopefully they don't, because then I'm probably sure they'd be very disappointed in me right now. Actually, they wouldn't because they don't even know me. Anyways.
Yeah.
What was the one that you said from Arnold?
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Do you know what that's from? Let's see if you know that.
Negative.
You don't know.
If you told me, I'd probably be like, oh, yeah.
It's Terminator.
Yeah, no.
It's the original Terminator.
That.
You never seen it.
No.
It's a super old movie. You had lots of opportunity to see it.
Yeah, I've had lots of opportunity to see the Star Wars too.
I think it's from like I want to say 1982 or 1984. It's like super old. Yeah.
84. I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah. So he literally is like, it's a scene where he's in the police station.
Yeah.
And he looks around and he says to the police officer, "I'll be back." And then he goes and gets a car and just drives it right through the office. Like.
The only thing I really know about Arnold Schwarzenegger is like when I was in probably junior high, there was like a prank phone call app, and like his voice was one of the prank phone calls.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can really remember about him.
It's good to have
a role model.
Role models that are positive for you.
Yes.
Right. So in my case, like, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger when I was a kid, he inspired me to get into that, and it led to a lot of good things.
Yeah.
Today, I don't really consider him a role model.
No, I guess they would change over the years.
People change, yeah, people change. So, and of course, where you are in your life, that changes. Mm-hmm. So you want to have role models that are going to be elevating, right? So you got to look at. It's important that you recognize that you want to look at people who are where you want to be.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Right, because a lot of people, unfortunately, they take advice from people who are not in the places that they want to be.
Yeah.
Right, and everybody will be the first one to tell. I mean, like, it's hilarious and sad at the same time that the first people who are going to tell you exactly how you should spend your money and how you should invest and who you should have relationships with are all the people that don't have the money, don't invest, and don't have the relationships that you want.
Right.
They'll be the first to tell you. Those are absolutely the last people you should be even listening to, right?
Yeah. Why are you even talking to them?
And but the truth is that we do this all the time, and they might be people who we care about or they care about us, and you take all that and you think that they care, but the truth is that they mean well, but the truth is, if you want to be able to excel and be able to actually grow, the role models and the people that you listen to for that kind of stuff have to be in the place that you want to be because they got there. Right? So if you are interested in being a raging success in your particular field, who's the best in your field then? And pay attention to what kind of what they had to do to get there. Mm-hmm. Start looking specifically at the attitude that they have and the way and the way that they see things, because that is something that you're going to have to replicate. You're going to have to be able to learn that kind of attitude And
then everything else will kind of follow.
then everything comes along. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to. So then at the same time, when it comes to relationships, right?
Yeah.
If you if you're taking advice from someone who's been divorced 3 times
Or a
about
movie, picture perfect movie.
or a movie, yeah, then you're just going to end up in the same situation as them if you're listening to them. On the other hand, if you see someone who has the kind of relationship that you're looking for, that has the kind of that you want, then you really have to pay attention to them and look at them as role models to like, okay, like this is the kind of relationship I want to have.
How can I make that mine?
And the more you're able to study that and the more you're able to like internalize what that looks like, the more your mind is going to give you the answer. Right? Because you're asking the right questions and now it's able to give you the right answers. And then in turn, that's going to develop throughout your life. And it starts to set that in motion so that eventually you do attract that kind of relationship, right? And then the same thing when it comes to money, right? Same sort of thing. It's like, are you going to take advice from somebody who has less than you, or are you going to take advice from someone who has just a little bit more? Or are you going to take advice from somebody who is where you want to be and then listen to what they have to say because that's where you want to be, right?
What about like somebody who was where you want it to be and then something terribly went wrong in their life, so now they're how did you put it, like not lower than you, but they're not less than you. What, you just said something. Okay, so somebody, for instance, say I looked up to this person and they're my role model, but all of a sudden something really bad happened and now they're just gone completely downhill, but now they can talk from experience too. Do you know what I mean? So like they can tell you the wrongs of something or how they got back down here.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that side of the story too, I guess, if they've been up there.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that you learn from that,
Yes.
as they have, hopefully.
Learn from it, but not make it a role model.
But then you probably are looking for someone else
Yes.
who would be able to fulfill that, like to actually go and look at somebody else who is where you want to be and hasn't lost it.
Yeah. All right. So that was 5 ways to become more humility. That didn't sound right.
5 ways to become more humble. If you want to say 5 ways to become more humility, that's your Kellyism for the day.
And there you go, folks. All right.
There you go.
Thank you so much for listening to this. And we'll be back next week with zeal.
Be sure to share with us your role models.
Yeah.
And share with us your
I need
questions.
a role model, folks. So
share with us what's your die zone, and share with us what you're confident about.
I need to do all that. I have some reflecting to do.
Okay.
So do you. All right. Bye, guys. See ya.
Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Enter the Bunker. Make sure to follow us on Instagram where you can share your story and also look at behind the scenes of how we make our podcast. You can watch the video version of this podcast on YouTube by simply searching Enter the Bunker. Tune in next time as we launch into thriving.